All right. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us for the May Supply Chain Lunch and Learn. My name is John Fries, and I am not in Vilnius, Lithuania today, but I found this beautiful picture and kind of wished that I was. So maybe one of these days I'll broadcast on site from someplace else. But as you all know, this Supply Chain Lunch and Learn is a partnership between the Center for Professional Education and the Chattanooga Regional Manufacturing Association. I do not see Miss Megan King with us. She sometimes joins us along the way. She does. We'll say hi to her, but we appreciate their partnership and support. I am very excited to share with you today. We're hosting our very first international supply chain lunch and learn. Our speaker is from across the pond over in Lithuania. In today's topic, we're going to talk a little bit about, something that's of interest to a good many supply chain management professionals, and that's digitization of supply chain visibility. We know that supply chain visibility is important, especially in this age of disruption, and it will continue to revolutionize how supply chains function as the world moves toward more and more digitization. And I understand even the good folks down at the Chattanooga Bakery like a little bit of visibility into their moon pie production from time to time. They like to know where their raw materials are and their ingredients and all that sort of stuff. So speaking of moon pies, Enrique, have we shipped any moon pies to Sarunas in Lithuania?
I don't think so.
Well, we may want to consider that because he's probably the only person on this call that has no idea what we're talking about when we're talking about a moon pie.
We'll have to
All right. All right. With that said, Enrique, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you kick off our session with Sarunas.
Yeah, thank you, John, and welcome everybody this morning or afternoon as we go global. I guess we don't know which time zones each of you may be at. So glad to have you today. And for those here present and those maybe that will watch the recording after today. So today, as John mentioned, we're going to be talking about digital freight forwarding, which as you watching the news and some of you through your companies are living the good and the bad of what global industry takes place today with air, ocean, and the integrated. Belickas, who is the CEO of CargoStream, and Sarunas has worked for a number of years out in Europe and Eastern Europe, developing web and IT solutions. Some of these really for the integration of supply chain, as it is the case with CargoStream, which is a software solution providing supply chain integrated options. So before we get started, Sarunas, let me just remind everyone, we love your questions. We're here for you. So please remember, use the chat box to type in any questions. We'll take your questions as we go. We don't need to wait till the very end of the session to address questions. So we'll keep an eye on those as we kind of continue through our conversation, because again, we want this to be a conversation. So without any further ado, Sarunas, let's kind of jump into the topic, and let's start first. The word digital and
I think I missed the question. You freezed.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start with, let's get an introduction with, so what is really digital freight forwarding? Give us a baseline here and understanding, a definition, so that we can really make no assumptions and truly understand what are we talking about with digital freight forwarding.
Yes, but before we will jump straight to this, hot topic, I would like to give some context why it's important to speak about supply chain, because it's a hot topic. But let's dive in why it's important. The supply chain affects our life from different angles on local and global scale. You are now in United States, we are in Europe, and we must, have different conversation how to make it better. And this is why we should care about the efficiency and sustainability of daily logistics, and how can we be successful in digital transformation and innovation of supply chain. So by changing all habits, by educating brokers, dispatchers, warehouse staff, and drivers, and sounds easy, but we have many checkpoints. And digital forwarding, it's one of checkpoints, which will be like, starting position, I think. Then the trend of full supply chain sector will start to change. What happened in fintech, in other sectors, now will be happening in supply chain. And as you mentioned, digital forwarding can be that, drastic shift which will make a huge impact in the supply chain management. And, there is no like direct description what is digital broker. In my point of view, it's the same classical logistic company, the same broker, just they would have own system where they pull their shippers, their carriers, and they trying to lock this network around them. And so sometimes it's a startup which creates only the platform without any logistic knowledge or without any logistic processes before. Sometimes it's some small and medium enterprise brokerage firm which would like to, increase the efficiency and to use digital tools more often on daily operations, and try not to use as much email, calls, and Excel, which is like three pillars across the broad, in supply chain management.
So give us some specific examples, Sarunas, in regards to what are some of the processes that can be automated with digital tools and digital solutions?
So let's begin with communication, right? Email wasn't invented or supposed to be the tool for supply chain management. And the shippers, usually it's factories, distributors, they have legacy software or ERPs internally, but still the supply chain management goes by email when it goes to their transportation providers or brokers. So you can have super efficient internal processes, but if you still communicate by email with your broker, the efficiency disrupted in this one process. And this mess in miscommunication continues because broker will communicate by email with driver will communicate back, and this ping pong information and lack of visibility is big problem. So there are digital platforms like what we created in CargoStream, which help shippers to pull their logistic providers in one place, in one platform, and to communicate with visibility, transparency, and in much more modern way.
And really, and that can be applied through the entire process, which could start with finding who you want to tender your load, right?
Yes, if we speak about very sophisticated platforms, so it's not only one process that shipper books transportation provider. It can be custom broker as well in the same supply chain included. It can be even to the consignee, which is waiting and has visibility of real-time transportation. So it can be many processes around the supply chain. And of course, the money is very important side of supply chain, and usually platforms state that they will reduce the cost of transportation, in my point of view, it's not entirely possible to do, especially in such times when costs rising. So I think, and I recommend even to our clients, that everybody should focus on efficiency, how to make other processes better. For example, production line, if they would know when the supplies are coming, they could manage in much better way the workflow, and the production would be ready for outbound for the clients on the right time. So this efficiency would bring much greater gains than just a reduction of cost of transportation. And if you reduce the cost of transportation, usually you reduce the quality, the attention from the carrier tracker. So all those small details bring no financial gains, I think.
Yeah. I think we have our first question, which is an interesting one. I had not thought of this angle yet, which is, do these solutions start helping on the environmental, social, and corporate responsibility, corporate governance aspect, as more companies, and I think Europe maybe even more?
Enrique, please, can you repeat, because you froze again?
Mm-hmm. Okay, it looks like my signal might be a little strange here. The question is with regards to, are these solutions assisting with corporate strategic objectives around social responsibility, corporate responsibility, carbon footprint?
Mm-hmm. And great question, because now sustainability is more like marketing and publicity stunt rather than very, important internal process where everybody cares about it. If you ask your manager or warehouse manager how much he cares about or she cares about the sustainability, of course the answer will be very much. But really, when they do their daily job, if they don't have digital tools to make impact in sustainable transportation, there is no sustainability in the end in those decisions and in this kind of process, right? So I think that itself, the digital tool cannot help, right? If that digital tool will be used not in the right direction. For example, like route planning or route optimization, truck fulfillment optimization and stuff like that. Another topic could be returning containers, which usually go back to the port empty. So those classical supply chain processes can be managed in digital way and managed with sustainability approach. However, the leader should teach and educate their team which does that on daily and daily operations.
Yeah, very often we underutilize the tools that we have within our companies, in our systems. So I'll get to the second question here in a minute, but Sarunas, let's talk about, maybe you have some specific examples of the benefits and tangible improvements that could be accomplished through use of some of these digital freight forwarding and digital supply chain integration solutions.
Mm-hmm. I will share the screen. It will be a little bit easier to view you as a context. Yes, so let's look at this, hold on a second. Somehow the shortcut doesn't work. Okay, so at first, this is supply chain. shipper books transportation with digital broker, and everything happens in digital broker's platform, right? And usually that forwarded to pool of carriers. And the pros and cons to become digital forwarder would be that they must shift the habits, not to communicate a lot by email, by calls, not to use Excel. They can manage much more efficiently their portfolio of shippers, and everything becomes transparent and communication becomes transparent. So it should be in best practices. But there is a downside. Digital brokers usually tend to disrupt the market, burning venture capital money and trying to reduce the cost. And in this way, they try to cut out the classical brokers. So you have a huge market resistance for that reasons. And also it's risky business model. And this is why I put this disclaimer. It's only risky when you try to cut the classical brokers in the supply chain. If you try to be like partner to those brokers and to pull to your platform, there is no resistance, right? Through partnership, everything is much greater. But because it's quite new business model and venture capital push those platforms to be aggressive in the market, this is where the resistance comes from, and it's not sustainable in my point of view. And if you try to create a platform from the start only for your company, it's pretty expensive, you know, in terms of development. But most importantly, you know, everything starts from the shipper or from supplier, right? Not from digital broker. So what kind of value brings digital broker for the shipper side? So they would have one communication channel, not a lot. The visibility comes as standard, basically. And everything is transparent. There is no miscommunication, who said what, then the time slot was changed in warehouse, who missed attach the invoice, because it usually will be created automatically and stuff like that. But as always, there is an other side, limited choice. If you start working with one digital broker, and if that company cannot help for you, so you pretty much need to go back to your old broker's pool and try to find a partner with whom you worked before. And sometimes people mislead that the digital broker is just digital solution without any, you know, manual effort. The truth is that behind the curtain is the same logistic company, and if they don't have experienced brokers, the process will stuck in some place in customs, in port, in terminal, whatever. And so and usually digital brokers tend to be like startups, and if we don't have many experience in different angles of supply chain, it cannot be very smooth process. And sometimes it's limited in services, which is very hard to do with you know, considering all the integrations with terminals, with custom brokers, with all different carriers, bigger ones, smaller ones. So there is the downside and good side.
Channel of communication, that means that all your information is in one place, which at times can be helpful in when you look at analytics, be from evaluating efficiency to ensuring compliance, that all your information is in one place, right? So, you know, I'm framing a question here, but at the same time, someone making a statement that really connecting that with the analytics side of things.
Yes, right. I can give you like one case study with big carrier. When we did auditing, due deal annually, we found out that after yearly tender, they trying to book transportation, and the price usually different after 3 or 6 months after tender was confirmed, because just the market shifted. Another case, it would be that we try to book the carrier by the tender, but if they decline the transportation, we need to go to another one. So how to track why this decision was made and why the other carrier gets this transportation for bigger price? So if you do that by email and Excel, it's pretty much impossible. It's very costly. And another thing is that I read analysis that in United States, 17% of invoices after transportation are too high or too low. It means that not even the carrier doesn't know how much he's supposed to get for this transportation, but shipper also doesn't know. He wrote, 1 or 2 weeks before the price for transportation 200 or 800. So, and shippers try to manage this cost control by hiring third party like PricewaterhouseCoopers or Deloitte or something like that, but it's also costly. So I think there are so many processes which are inefficient because everything starts in an inefficient way by email. So later it's very hard to manage efficiency when the beginning is wrong.
Yeah. We have one specific question from the audience, Sarunas, that is referring to cargo stream, which is specifically in, I don't know, is the term control tower from a supply chain software management, is that a common term in Europe? Sometimes you got to be careful. In the US, we talk about things like everybody in the world uses the same vocabulary, and I want to be careful about that.
Yes. Tower view, tower control is quite popular. Usually, if you like, you even can say that digital broker sometimes is tower control, point. So yes.
Okay. So does cargo stream have a control tower type component where you can see the flow through the supply chain that could be from suppliers, inbounds, ocean, road, right? The full integration of a flow of the goods from suppliers to the shippers or to the locations that the goods are going to.
Yes, cargo stream is end-to-end solution for comprehensive full supply chain management from shipper to consignee. And the interface does not change. Are you a shipper or logistic provider? So it's like the expression, is it a tower view or not? In our case, at least, it's not any difference. But the good thing is that, remember I said that the cost of investing to create a platform and to become digital broker rather than just classical, it requires a lot of money. So we are helping not only shippers but also logistic providers to become digital modern companies and to use our system.
Yeah, we've got a question that I'm very curious as well, with regards to, you might have heard in the US for years now, there has been a lot of discussion around the shortage of truckers, drivers, and that causing not only a disruption in flow of goods, but also increased costs because, I think we talked about this in one of our past, Walmart starting to offer about $110,000 in wages, salaries to truck drivers. Is that a common issue as well in Europe? Eastern Europe. And also, I would like to ask along with that, there's a lot of conversation in the US with regards to automatic guided, self-piloted trucks. And what's that like in Europe?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so the story is the same across whole Europe. The lack of drivers is very, very sensitive topic. And so the problem are the same. There is a shortage of drivers. And we can joke now that in terms of containers, I see that not asset problem, but digital problem. But with drivers, it's still asset problem, not digital problem.
100%.
Yes, but so okay. Speaking about self-driving trucks, so it's much harder from technological point of view to achieve safe, transportation. And I was in one of events regarding this topic, and I remember that Scania, DAF, Volvo, they are showing prototypes, but at this stage the technology is not ready yet even to do like single transportations without driver, and the regulation will come just later. So it's very, very long road to this very stable transportation without driver. So we have still 20 years ahead where we will need drivers.
Enrique, you're muted. Nope. Enrique, you're muted.
I apologize. I'm not sure how I got muted. Yeah, my comment was that in the US, the concept of distances are really very different for Europe, where the self-guided vehicles really bring the much more significant benefit.
And another thing is geographical, landscape. In United States, there are more like direct roads, especially between industrial regions. In Europe, you have hills and very windy roads. So even driver cannot drive safely. So imagine the robot here. So yeah.
Want to make sure here we've got, it's just about the end of our session. Just checking to see if we have any final questions from our audience. Please make sure we kind of bring those in. So Sarunas, let's kind of forward view.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see some of the next steps in technology integration of supply chain?
Mm-hmm.
As you look within Cargo Stream and you're looking at solutions and future development for your customers, where do you see things going as far as bringing efficiency to the supply chain?
We will have the rise of digital brokers. We will have much more data companies, meaning that they won't have interface, but they will share data with other platforms. That already happening, for example, with ocean carriers, where the company, for example, collects all the data regarding where is the container, bill of lading, and that kind of data points, and they just share that with other platforms.
Yeah.
So those integrations will be much easier because now you have to do one by one. For example, we integrated with 2 top ocean carriers, and it took some time even to find the right person in 20,000 people corporation. So this is one trend. Another trend would be education of dispatchers. I think that now you can see the leaders tend to decrease the importance of dispatcher in supply chain, and they think that robot in warehouse will solve those issues which we have right now. In reality, that dispatcher makes a lot of effect on timing, on communication, on everything. So I think they should, you can say, even upgrade their skills and knowledge in shipper side. So different courses and different, I don't know, training, I think will be very popular, which will bring the skills up of dispatchers, warehouse employees, to learn how to use digital tools.
Yeah, those, I agree with you. Those two go hand in hand in regards to how do you enhance solutions, but then the expertise of the individuals using those solutions. And we're going down the path where data integration and analytics for efficient, quick decisions are just absolutely necessary. And if you think about the technologies, you know, when you look at your phone and what your phone nowadays knows, where you're going, what you need next, and everything, and how do you apply that type of data processing power to recommended solutions in our supply chain world it's absolutely necessary to drive efficiency. Yeah, Sarunas, thank you very much. I think those are the questions we've had for now. So John, right back to you.
Well, thank you, Enrique, and Sarunas, thank you so much for spending a part of your day with us. I know where you are, it's 5 o'clock or getting close to it. It's almost time for you to go home. So we really appreciate you spending time with us. And as always, it's always so interesting to hear what you guys are working on and how you're looking at supply chain modeling and looking at some of those ways to improve. So thank you all very much. We are going to take the month of June and perhaps the month of July off to give us a chance here at UTC to kind of rethink and maybe repackage our monthly lunch and learn session. So we look forward to seeing you all back in the fall. All right, everyone, have a great weekend.
Have a good
Best of
weekend,
luck.
everybody.
Thanks.